Hello. I know the screen is very bright, but there's not really a lot I can do about that. So we're back on Tailor Tales. It's too warm in my room. There are a fair amount of characters that I haven't gotten to because I don't know, I've just been playing other things, I guess. So we've got James to play, and that's who I'm going to play next. But we also have Gray and Aiden. These two are the last ones. Eok is currently in development, and I think he'll be ready at the end, at the end of the year, I don't know, because it says I can play him, but it says currently in development, but also I tried to start a new route and it let me start a route, so I don't know what's going on there. Maybe I'll check it out. But okay, we're gonna do James, and then we're gonna do Gray, and then we're gonna do Aiden. We're gonna go in, order. Okay, so James is 28. He is 6'3". His job is ... In an alternate universe where people have special powers, you are the one that designs superhero costumes for the superheroes. One day, someone literally crash lands outside of your boutique. He's gravely injured. You quickly help him out and fix him up with your own abilities. His superhero outfit looks strange, though. You've never seen him around before. Who is this man with the ability to flare? And apparently his route is twice as long as others, so I guess he is maybe author's favorite? Wait. Okay. I'm still on Dimitri's for some reason. Oh my god, that's so loud. I forget. Tailor Tales is a light-hearted game. Oh yeah, it gives you the little stuff. Okay, so warnings and triggers. Blood, mention of SA. Minor character death. Minor violence towards the main character. Violence towards others. Superhero discrimination. His sexual behavior is dominant most of the time. Submissive never. Oh no! He's not for me. Rough, occasionally. Gentle, sometimes. Kinky, neck-biting. Confidence, very high. Flustered, almost never. Boring. Cockiness, not very high, because excuse me, he looks like he's a cocky type. Libido, ready to go anytime. I'm gonna click the gray area 3 times, but I'm gonna do that on a pause screen. Okay. I have a brother. I had to change a few things. Okay, so brother's name. Eric, because I'm rewatching True Blood. As far as the eye can see, there's gorgeous fabric to be found everywhere. From the most luxurious silk to the cheapest organza. It's all here at the market. I adjust my scarf as a particularly cold wind blows by. It's in the middle of winter. This place is where I truly come to peace. I'm in my element. Colors, textures, patterns. I'm already formulating my next designs in my head. Particular iridescent piece of fabric catches my eye. It changes colors when you look at it from a different angle. It reminds me a little of the way the 80s movies created space outfits. Everything had to be shiny back then. Excuse me, I call out to the woman behind the stall who was in the middle of talking to her companion. Yes, dear? Would you like this one? Yes, 4 meters will do. The woman takes the iridescent fabric roll off my hands and starts measuring how much she needs to cut. You know, this fabric reminds me of Starlight's costume, says the woman. Starlight, a superhero whose outfit I didn't design. Someone else got to her first. She has the power to brighten any kind of light source and quite literally blind you. Is that so? I say casually. Isn't it just weird how they're walking among us like normal people? It could be any one of us, she mutters in a dark tone. I don't like where this conversation is going. Why do they hide? I don't like that anyone can just, hide a really dangerous power. She cuts the fabric to my specifications. I pull the scarf over my nose to hide my disgust. You know us, we always go fierce. We're going fierce. And I especially like going toe-to-toe fierce with a dominant person. They wouldn't have to hide their identity if people didn't try to ruin their normal lives. So I have to, people didn't try to ruin their normal lives, I fire back. Imagine if everyone knew the identity of a superhero. There would be so much hatred and chaos. Lives would be uprooted entirely. Let's just agree to disagree, she says. The woman flashes a fake smile at me as she bags the fabric. That'll be $44.95, a sweetheart. Euros, of course. I wonder where this person is from, then. Who made this game? I pay the woman her money and quickly disappear from the stall. Suddenly, I don't feel so in my element after all. Time to leave before the blizzard starts. Whew, finally got back to Olympus before the blizzard started. Hey Valkii, Kim greets me from behind the counter. Hey Kim, did anyone stop by today? Yep, look who's back. Kim plops down a piece of fabric onto the counter. I immediately recognize the outfit and sigh loudly. Again? I complain. That's like the third time this week. Yeah, he told me he tore it while scaling a mountain, she explains with a roll of her eyes. Grabbing the outfit from the counter, I inspect it for any tears. I didn't have to look long. The culprit is staring right in my face. The midriff has been torn open. Kim shrugs. He swears he was trailing someone who stole an old lady's purse. I'm not in the game. On a mountain? I repeat incredulously. The Lasher sure knows how to concoct extravagant stories for his adventures. Last time, he said he tore it while swimming on the back of a shark. That's why the fans love him after all, Kim points out. Anyways, can you fix it? I let the fabric slide through my fingers, focusing on holes that I can fix manually without having to recut any new patterns. I wiggle my finger until a fine piece of thread emerges from the tip. It's so thin, normal people usually have a hard time seeing it. I manipulate it until it pierces the fabric, making it loop around to quickly stitch up a small hole. No matter how many times I see you do it, it's always so interesting to see it in action, says Kim in awe. I cut off the thread so that it's no longer attached to me and neatly tie it up. Now for the rest. What's a really convenient power? Like, you're pretty much set for what you're gonna do for the rest of your life. A loud explosion rumbles from underneath me. What in the world? I yell, completely startled. The rumbling brings down a few items on my counter. Is this an earthquake? Kim ducks and covers her head as the shelf behind her falls down. The shaking finally stops. Kim, are you okay? I'm fine. I think it came from... below, I finish for her. We both come to a realization. Eric, Kim groans. Go back to work, Kim. I'll check up on Eric, I say. Alright, let me know if you need to call an ambulance or not. I give her a wry smile. Kim exits the room and I sigh out loud. What is Eric doing now? I knew it was suspiciously quiet. I should have checked up on him sooner. Do we have a baby brother or an older brother? I enter the hallway and walk all the way to the back, opening a small door underneath the staircase. It's the entrance to my brother's lab. Oh, okay. There's soot all over the floor. I'm leaving footprints behind as I walk inside the lab. Lots of objects are on the floor. I'm panicking a little until I see two people sitting at the metal desk. Eric! I cry out. What happened? Oh my god, he does look like me. Is that Kane? My character has white hair and red eyes, I'm pretty sure. Eric just looks at me with a shrug. His hair is standing up in different directions. I'm just a little shocked, he says jokingly. The person next to him knocks him on the head. It's Kane. Idiot, now is not the time for your stupid puns, Kane berates my brother. Kane? I question. What are you doing here? Your brother asked me to come. I knew I shouldn't have. You guys are crazy, Kane huffs. Wait, why am I getting lumped into this? I ask. Why did you do this? What did you do this time, Eric? Nothing. Why are all eyes on me? Eric puts his hands up and tries to look innocent. Is that Neil? Is Neil my brother now with just a different name? I'm trying to remember what, like, his stance and stuff. I don't know. Maybe not, but I'm pretty sure he had that hair. Maybe? I don't know. I'm trying to remember. Eric sighs when he realizes I'm not buying into his act, then picks up a metal ring from the floor. I was trying to get this bracelet to harness Kane's electricity. I figured I could harvest it and perhaps create an infinitely generating power source. Eric gets hit over the head again by Kane. Moron, I told you that's not how it works. I can't keep generating electricity without pulling it from my own energy. Eventually I get tired too, then I collapse from exhaustion. Kane simply looks frustrated with my brother. And then it blew up in your face. You know that shit is dangerous. I could have lost my license, you know? Eric shrugs, patting down his hair back to normal. I was grounded. I'm fine. I groan out loud. No, Kane's right. Don't toy around like that. I don't want to bury my younger brother as well, alright? A serious look dawns on Eric's face as the words sink in, but then he quickly replaces it with a pout. No one else will come up with these nifty little gadgets then, huh? Who else will come up with these nifty little gadgets then, huh? Kane smirks. I have to admit, your tracking device came in really handy last time. Right? Eric points finger guns at Kane. I roll my eyes at the two of them. They're always up to no good. Now someone has to clean up the mess that they made. There's soot everywhere. The stench isn't all that great either. I point at the floor. Eric, you made this mess, so clean it up. Ugh. Eric groans and slouches his shoulders, but nonetheless walks towards the broom closet to get some cleaning supplies. Kane hops up on the metal desk and casually brings his hand up to his face. He holds his index finger and thumb together until a spark of electricity ignites between them. He keeps doing this until there's a steady stream of electricity going back and forth between his fingers. By the way, speaking of licenses, when are you getting yours? He asks nonchalantly, playing around with his ability. You've been asking me for years, I say with a heavy sigh. And I'm asking you again. Not everyone wants to be a superhero, Kane, I reply. Eric returns with a broom and starts sweeping the floor. Don't bother, Valky's pretty stubborn. Kane stops playing with his fingers, suddenly looking serious. Yeah, but come on, unlike your moronic brother. I resent that, Eric interjects. You actually have an ability that could be useful in combat. That doesn't mean it should be used in combat, I fire back. There are plenty of ways someone could use their abilities for the greater good without having to pick fights with bad guys. Eric shuffles away with the broom. But you're just some lame-ass Tailor, Kane groans. That's not exciting in the least. Irritation spreads across my face. Kane is really getting on my nerves now. He's insulting my work and calling it boring. There's nothing wrong with being a fashion designer. Wait, the cat's being bad, I think. Nope, he's fine. I don't see you complaining when I'm the one who makes your superhero costume. I fold my arms across my chest and glare at him. That's different, he says flippantly. You're still just using it on my clothes. His eyes then widen as he realizes something. Oh! Never mind, a cat is being bad. Okay. His eyes then widen as he realizes something. Oh, I've got it! The perfect superhero name for you. Kane grins, then spreads out his arms. Oh. Black Widow, he says with a chuckle. I just stare at him blankly. I'm not on the game. Yeah, I am on the game. I'm not on the box, though. Do I look like a spider to you? Hey, don't mock the name. Don't you know this one superhero, Spider-Boy? He shoots webs. From his butt. Same difference. That is one huge of a difference, I protest. I don't shoot weird web stuff from my butt. The thread is highly sophisticated. It's nothing like a web. Isn't it just the same thing? Kane cocks his head to the side. No, webs are sticky. My thread is not. I've seen you attach that stuff to anything. What do you mean it's not sticky? Have I been living a lie all this time? Kane questions. Fed up with his attitude, I huff at him. Always use fierce. Is there a settings option? I have to wait until I get to the next chapter. My fingertips glow hot and I spread a thin thread between my index fingers. I control the thread, feeling its every move, and I make quick work of Kane's lips. The thread pierces his skin undetected. It's fast and it zigzags until it's completely sewed his mouth shut. Kane tries to speak, but finally realizes he can't open his mouth. He looks at me in horror. That, Kane, is the difference. My thread doesn't stick, it pierces, I explain smugly. Kane claws at his mouth, trying to tear it open, but is unable to do anything. Eric sighs behind us. Valkii, don't torture my test subject. I sigh, then press my finger against Kane's lips. The thread dissolves immediately. Kane opens his jaws wide open, testing out whether or not he can move his lips again. He glares at me. What did you do that for? That's traumatizing. Kane then points at Eric, and it's not comforting to be referred to as a test subject. Eric gives him a quizzical look. Did I ever refer to you as anything else? I was pretty upfront about it. I sigh. Look, I'm happy with my job. I like making clothes. I don't need to fight crime or save the earth with my powers. Not everyone needs to be a superhero like you do. I don't particularly enjoy hiding my identity as well. Kane pouts at me. I just wanted to see you swing around the city like Spider-Boy. Eric is the one that laughs. Dude, no, you're not going to see Valkii zip around like that. Besides, I wouldn't allow it. I place my hands on my hips. Oh, you wouldn't allow me to be a superhero? Since when do you have that right? Since I'm your brother and have to look out for you. With a somber look, Eric's eyes are cast down towards the ground. We're the only ones left, he mutters. There's a sudden tension in the air, and I try to prevent myself from remembering my own past. I put on a courageous smile. How about you worry about yourself? You almost got electrocuted by Kane when I walked in. Oh. Eric shrugs. That's different. Sometimes experiments go wrong. I just want to point out that I'm immune to electricity. Can't shock me. So yeah, it may very well kill only you, says Kane. Yeah. Alright, enough talking. Give me some of your juice. I need to power up this bracelet. Still? You've already sucked me dry enough. Eric grimaces. Dude, do you ever think about the words that are coming out of your mouth? I laugh in response. I don't think he ever does. Kane ends up blushing once he realizes what he said. Shut up! Go back upstairs already! Just as he says that, the intercom beeps. Kim's voice booms through the laboratory. Everyone's ears perk up to listen closely. Guys, do we own any flying ships? She asks in an unsure tone. Eric walks up to the intercom and presses down a button to reply. The Forrester Incorporation owns several of them, yes. Why? They should have the Forrester logo on them then, no? Kim asks. That is correct, Eric replies. What's going on? Kim would never bother us unless it was something urgent. She's there to run the storefront, nothing more. Then this giant ship flying over Kleiner right now is definitely not one of ours. The three of us look at each other in silence. Wait, a flying ship that isn't from Forrester Inc. Do you have any cameras outside? Kane asks urgently. None that point towards the sky, Eric grumbles, hastily walking towards the exit. Are we under attack? I question, nervous about this unidentified ship. Eric's silence speaks volumes, and I'm suddenly on high alert. I rush over towards the table with the intercom, slamming my finger down on the button. Kim, get down here, now. Alarms suddenly go off in the lab. The sirens outside can be heard wailing. My stomach churns uncomfortably as I realize something bad is about to happen. The lab is underground. We should be relatively safe here in case of an attack. However, Eric and Kane are making their way towards the exit. They want to see what's going on. An ear-deafening blast can be heard above ground. The laboratory starts to shake and all three of us fall down from the shockwave. The lab rumbles and trembles from the aftershock, dust falling from the ceiling. They're definitely not friendly, Kane cries out. I can hear Kim's groans. She's at the staircase. I want to rush over, but Kane stops me. Stay here. This lab is just like a bunker. Don't do anything stupid. Let me handle it. He then turns to Eric. Notify the rest of the squad. When push comes to shove, no matter how immature Kane can be, in emergencies he's always someone you can count on. He quickly bolts through the doors, leaving us alone in the lab. Eric turns on his heel and begins to furiously type on his cell phone, notifying the other members. When he tunes in on the news channel, they're broadcasting breaking news at the moment. Kim bursts inside the room, nearly coughing up a lung. Kim, are you alright? Yeah, there's just a lot of dust in the air right now. What did you see? I ask her. The ship, it shot down a building. It's still hovering directly above us. I'm so scared. Kim crouches down onto the floor, clamping her hands over the sides of her ears. I bend down to comfort her. You're safe here, Kim. Let the superheroes do their work. I'm trying to stay strong for her since Kim is younger than me, but I can't deny that I'm scared as well. Honestly, I'm really worried about Kane. He already looked tired. Is he even able to fend for himself? Then I walk over towards Eric and I look at the TV screen. With my own eyes, I see the images of what's happening above. Though it's hard to spot due to the snowstorm, there's a giant ship suspended in the air. It's unlike anything I've seen before. It's a pearly white color and it looks very sleek in its design. Eric shuts off the alarm so we're able to hear the TV. Eric, who else other than us has the technology to create those? I ask him. Other than Forrester Inc. and Racestor, I don't think anyone else does. Eric looks stumped. He's trying his best to recognize the vehicle. That's not one of ours, and Racestor has only created small ships. They wouldn't be able to create a ship of that size. Eric brings his hand to his mouth, tapping his finger against his lips in contemplation. In fact, I've never seen such designs before. Someone must have been building this in secret. Immediately, I think of the terrorist group, Julio. Anxiety and disgust whirls up inside of me as I suppress my painful memories. Do you think it's Julio? I ask. Are they planning on attacking superheroes again? Eric grows quiet. I don't know, maybe. The news broadcaster is saying the ship suddenly appeared over Kleiner and fired a missile at a large office building. Luckily, the casualties are low because it's Sunday, so there weren't many people in the building. Still, that's right near where we live. I really hope Kane is okay. Kim joins us and she points at this TV screen, which is displaying a live feed of what's happening. Look, they're there. On the screen, we can see several superheroes show up. It's a little hard to see it through all of the snow, but I recognize a couple of them. I've designed their costumes after all. There's a bunch that are unknown to me as well. At least one superhero is flying around, and I believe I spot Spider-Boy swinging around. I don't see Kane, I murmur softly. I spoke too soon because a huge lightning bolt appears from the sky and blasts the front of the ship. Kane, don't be reckless. If that thing falls down, you're going to create even more casualties, Eric sighs with a worried tone. But look, the ship seems unharmed, I point out. Shield technology. That is very sophisticated. We all go quiet once we see the ship open up at the bottom and dozens of little objects come flying out. It's hard to tell what they are when there's snow everywhere. What are those? Kim shrieks. Drones? Eric says, though he's unsure. I lean closer to the TV. No. I think they're people. The lightning bolt blows one of them up, and then we can clearly see the pilot fall from his hovercraft. Thank goodness, it seems the smaller ships don't have any shields on them. But wait, did I see that correctly? Did you see that too? I ask. Yeah, their skin is red, Kim finishes. All of them are, see? A shared ability? A family, perhaps? This is unusual. Sometimes people are born with deformities because of their abilities, and they're certainly not unique to each person, but so many of them together? Eric questions. This is getting even more confusing. It doesn't seem to be the work of Julio, but I can't be too sure. Who would openly attack Kleiner like this? The news reporter says that everyone is fighting back against the smaller hovercrafts, but their numbers are too great for everyone to handle. Damn it, Kane already used up a lot of his powers just now. Eric grits his teeth. This is all my fault. Oh no, Kim gasps. Is Kane going to be alright? I clench my hand into a fist. I know I'm no superhero. I'm not suited for combat one bit, but I can't sit here idly twiddling my thumbs as one of my best friends fights on his own. What if people need medical attention? I ask. Valkii, you're not thinking what I'm thinking, right? Stay here. The lab is safe. I narrow my eyes at him. What if it was Kane bleeding out on the streets? Would you still say the same thing? Eric presses his lips into a thin line and furrows his brows together. He can't quite argue back with that, as we both care about Kane. I know first aid. I can be of some use. I'm no superhero, but I can make sure no one dies under my watch. With that in mind, I grab my coat and rush out of the lab. I can hear Eric cry out behind me. I can hear my cat. When I've made my way outside, the blizzard stings my eyes, making it hard to see. I look up, being able to spot the giant hanging in the sky. It's hovering above the city, a slight distance away from the boutique. I'm standing in the shadow that it casts. It's humongous. It's sleek and doesn't look like anything I've ever seen before. It's definitely not one of our ships, so whose is it? Who is attacking Kleiner? Or Clanner? I don't know. I can't help but think about Julio. What if it's them after all? They're back with another huge attack? I can't just stand by this time. I don't want to be helpless. I can see the small hovercraft looming about the place, some of them shooting bullets down below. I'm out of the immediate danger area, but I'm still not completely safe. Someone out there may need help, though. I just hope it isn't Kane. Judging by the lightning bolts in the sky, he's doing just fine. Just then, I see something in the sky approaching me, fast. Snow whirls around at an enormous speed. I focus my eyes, easily being able to identify what it is from a large distance. It's a superhero, and he looks knocked out. Oh no, if he falls at this height, he's gonna die on impact. Quick, I need to do something. He's headed this way and will land in just a few seconds. My adrenaline gets pumped, forcing my body to react on instinct. I shoot a thread out to a lamppost, then to another lamppost, and quickly start to weave a net in between. He's coming closer. Crap, I'm not done yet. This net will barely hold. I focus even harder, forcing myself to manipulate several different threads all from my fingertips, until I've made a sizable net in between the street's lamps. And not a second was wasted, because the superhero crashes inside of the net. The net stretches out. Luckily enough, it doesn't tear as it distributes the momentum of his fall. I quickly whirl my thread around the person himself to make sure he doesn't go flying out the other way like some kind of catapult. He wiggles back and forth in the netting until he finally comes to a stop. I sigh out in relief. I caught him. I look at my handiwork and cringe. Kane is never going to let me live it down when I tell him that I caught someone from a near certain death by spinning a web like a spider. It'll just be my little secret for now. First things first, I have to see if he's alright. I jog over towards the netting, dissolving it as I come closer, gently lowering him down onto the snow. The superhero is a tall man, clad in a black outfit with red and gold accents. I don't recognize his costume at all, especially since it's torn to shreds. It's like something burned him because I can see it's charred in some places. A mop of messy black hair covers up the rest of his face. The most important thing, he's breathing. But also bleeding. I have to get him inside. Using my thread, I create a makeshift stretcher and drag the man inside the boutique. Eric, help me out! I call out for him when I'm at the stairs. Eric quickly comes to my help, sees the man I'm dragging behind and lifts an eyebrow. Who the hell is this? He asks. Does it matter? He's hurt. Help me put him on the table. What if it's the enemy? Well, he's not red, is he? Come help me. Eric doesn't complain anymore and swiftly helps me put the man on the metal table. However, he's so heavy, Kim has to come help us as well. It's one thing to drag the man, it's another to lift him entirely. When he's flat on the table, I get a good look at him. Now what? Asks Eric. I'll get the first aid kit, Kim exclaims, running off. Oh, we've got our first look. I quickly look over his torso, which has burns and a million little cuts. It doesn't look good. Something was attacking him before. Was it those red men? They look so creepy on TV. I place both my hands on his chest, grabbing what's left of the charred fabric and tear it in half. The costume splits, baring his naked and burned torso. It's easier to work when clothes aren't in the way. I lean closer to the man's face. Hey, can you hear me? The stoic expression remains on the man's face. He's completely out of it. While he's covered in burn marks, the most pressing matter is a large cut on the right side of his waist. He's bleeding from it rather badly. Kim hands me the first aid kit. She tends to the burn wounds while I clean his open wound. Completely focused on the job, I touch his tanned skin with my fingers, forming a thread that eventually pierces it. The man remains passed out and doesn't notice as I stitch up his wound. I puncture his skin back and forth, creating a very clean stitch. In no time, the wound is healed. Sealed. Checking his body for any more open wounds, I notice he's only got smaller cuts that are easily cleaned and need only a bandage, if at all. The burns, on the other hand, covered across his body, are another matter entirely. I'm not a real doctor. He'll need to go to the hospital for this. The only thing Kim and I can do is cool it and dress it with bandages for now. I sigh in relief when I'm finally finished with my first aid. At least the bleeding has stopped. Valkii, look, we're winning. They're falling back, says Eric as he points towards the TV. That's good. Have you seen Kane? I'm unsure. They haven't said anything about the death toll yet. Hearing that makes me even more worried. No, Kane can handle himself. I still saw his lightning not too long ago. He won't go out without putting up a damn good fight. There's no way they got to Kane. I won't believe it. By the way, do you recognize this guy? I ask Eric, pointing at the man in front of me. I seriously don't know. Aren't you the one that's supposed to recognize them all, considering you're the one designing most of these costumes? I shake my head. I don't provide for every single superhero, you know. Can't you look him up in the database? If he's a superhero, he has to be registered, Kim suggests. Sure, I can look at that later. What's important now is nursing him back to health until he wakes up. I've decided to take care of most of his... I've taken care of most of his wounds, but he does need a trip to the hospital. We just have to wait until he wakes up. I lean closer to him, studying him. The burns are scattered across his torso like a lightning bolt. I wonder who this man is. I can't help myself as my hands reach out to his face. I brush away his black hair, revealing his closed eyes, and... Wait. My fingers trail along the grooves of his ear. His pointy, elf-like ear. Sometimes superheroes have abilities that affect their appearance. I've once seen a woman with polka dots all over her body, like she was some kind of Dalmatian. Another time I saw someone whose skin was like literal slime. However, this is the first time I've ever seen someone with pointed ears. It doesn't appear to be a body mod of some kind. It looks natural. It's kind of fascinating. Wait, they're saying something on TV, says Eric all of a sudden. Absent-mindedly, I trace my finger along the tip of his ear. It's really long. How come I didn't notice it before? Huh? What? They're saying it's not Julio, Eric exclaims loudly. I look back down at the man. Ruh-roh! I'm startled when dark brown eyes pierce me with such an intense gaze that it rattles me to my core. The man swiftly gets up from the table, planting both feet firmly on the ground. I don't have time to react as he approaches me. In an instant, I'm suspended in the air as the man grabs me by the throat, squeezing it. I can't breathe. I'm gonna try to break free. Obviously. I claw at his hands, trying to break free. He instead just squeezes even harder, and I'm starting to see black spots in front of my eyes. Let go of my sister! Eric screams. The man gets knocked out of the way as Eric charges into him. He releases his hold on me, and I collapse onto the floor. I inhale a large gust of air to fill my lungs with oxygen. Take that! Kim yells as she throws a roll of bandages at the man. Good one. I pick myself up. Stop! We're not trying to hurt you. I help patch your wounds up, I explain, coughing up for air still. He must be disoriented. Maybe he thinks we're trying to attack him. The man stands his ground, tall and menacing, before he looks down at the bandage on his waist, as well as the rest of the bandages covering his burns. His tense eyes meet mine again, and I feel a lump form in my throat. I don't know why his gaze makes me feel a chill run down my spine. See? I did the stitches, I say nervously, pointing at his side. Unexpectedly, the man rips off the bandages from his waist, revealing his freshly stitched wound. Don't! You have to keep the wound dressed, I say. His dark eyes travel from the wound, then back to me, as if he's silently asking me if I really did stitch him up. Please, calm down. Let me help you. I cautiously walk towards him. I hold my hands up to make myself seem as non-threatening as possible. We're not here to hurt you, so please let me put the bandages back on. As I take a step forwards, I can hear Eric cry out in surprise. He's pointing at the TV in shock. That's him! I turn around away from the man to see what Eric is talking about. My eyes widen when I spot the screen. They're replaying a clip from the attack. A man wearing a black with red and gold armor. A man wearing a black with red and gold armor. A man wearing black and gold armor. A man wearing black with red and gold accents armor? I don't know how would that... A man wearing a black with red and gold armor flying around in the air, battling the superheroes. He gets struck down by a lightning bolt and soars off into the distance. The reporter says the ship appeared from the sky. It came from space. He's an alien. It's an alien ship. I feel horror wash over me. It's an alien! Eric cries out. Suddenly his breath is running down my neck, causing all little hairs to stand up straight. You... His voice croaks out. Saved me? I don't dare to turn my head to face him. I can feel my heart racing 1,000 miles per minute. This man I saved is not a man at all. You! Get away from her! Screams Eric, going for another charge attack. However, before Eric can even do anything, the man knocks him away with a single punch. Eric crashes into the wall and drops down onto the floor, unconscious. Kim hurriedly runs over to him in a panic. I'm forcibly turned around as he yanks on my arm, making me stand in front of him, face to face. You. He points at the stitches. Did that? I can't speak. My body is frozen. He hurt Eric. He's the one that attacked the city. What do I do? How do I take down a man of his size all on my own? I'm gonna try to attack his ass. Maybe, if I'm fast enough, I can slide a thread around his throat. Or maybe I can pierce his heart. Do aliens even have hearts? I should go for his throat. I raise my hands, forming a thread between my fingertips, aiming it at his throat. The man reacts in superhuman speed, disappearing for a split second before reappearing right before my very own eyes. I didn't even have a chance. He catches me by my wrists, holding me captive. He is completely expressionless and is scaring the daylights out of me. Before I know it, he's thrown me over his shoulder, then launches himself into the air. Hey! I cry out, pounding my fists onto his back. Unfazed by my attacks, he keeps scaling higher. Wait, what's going on? He goes straight towards the ceiling, blasting a hole in it as he flies straight up, with me on his shoulder. The impact of the ceiling and several other floors in between causes me to black out. My last thoughts before I lose consciousness are, this is not a superhero. He's a villain. Dun dun dun.
Love it.
Alright. Before I... Actually, I will just go to... I'll see you in the next one.